Boy, this video is so gonna be controversial. 5 things I've learned from the porn industry. Yep. Here's the foundation of this video. I think we need to learn from everything that is out there. They don't necessarily have to be constructive things for us to get constructive learning. So I don't have any judgments on our sources of learning. I do think it's important to look at what we learn. So here are 5 things that I've learned from the porn industry. Number 1, if you or anybody decides to get into it, then you'd better evaluate some of the, how do I say this, threats, opportunities versus threats. And you'd better have a backup plan also. Why do I say this? Number 1, with threats. When you get into this industry, obviously, you're going to have a lot of things cut down from your life, socially or professionally. Because though many people consume it, there is so much judgment still around it. People are so split when it comes to pornography that those that get into it, although they're being appreciated, seemingly appreciated by people consuming porn, they're not going to have a great time in the outer world, let's say. And the second one with the backup plan, this one was very well said by Paris Hilton in The American Meme. This is a documentary on Netflix, by the way. She said it towards the end. What people don't realize is that you need to be sustainable. No matter what you do, whether you're in the showbiz or in porn or wherever, you need to realize that you need to sustain yourself in the long run. And if you don't have a backup plan, if you don't have a strategy for the long term, then you just go there, you think that, wow, I'm going to get proposed to do videos and that's it. At a certain point, you're going to have an expiration date. And nowadays it's less, it's much shorter, let's say, than it used to be in the porn industry in the 80s or 90s. So you have fewer chances of making enough money so that you can retire from this business. You don't. That's the big scam, let's say. The number 2 lesson is that the people that come and star here, first of all, most of them are really sweethearts, both men and women, and they really take care of one another. I mean, they are very human-like, no matter what you see in the movie. If you were there to see behind the scenes, then you'd see that they are really sweethearts, really naive, some of them. And as they claim about themselves, other potential paths that they had ahead of them didn't work so well. I mean, none of these people in the 80s, 90s, or even now had ever thought of growing up to become porn stars. It's not your ideal wish when you are a kid and thinking what you want to do when you grow up. So most of them wanted to be in sports, athletes, some in music. So they had other plans for themselves, but they just didn't work out. And though they are these sweethearts, they need to make a living, and they resort to this because they're thinking that they might. The third lesson, the people behind the cameras, producers, directors, talent scouts, photographers, so the people, let's say the business people in the industry, not necessarily the ones that star in the movies, but the ones that make a buck out of it and build the entire frame. They're definitely more pragmatic than others, and the majority of them, because we're looking at big fish, small fish, everybody, the majority of them, just like the stars, they didn't excel in other attempts before resorting to porn. And for the people in the industry, in most cases, yes, there are costs, social costs associated. I think one of the people that I know with less costs is a woman named Erica Lust. She's into fun porn. So that aspect and perspective on pornography doesn't just have, the hardcore raw cock and pussy images, but it has some emotions there. It has some intelligence there. It's more refined. And there's an entire episode about the women behind cameras, which are less and less. They never were that many to begin with. And they look at a lot of the signs of the industry, the hardcore industry, how people treat one another, even if they are sweethearts and they're friends and all that. So, and how they interact with their communities. This woman is really building a community. And you also get to look at her staff a little bit. So I think that's one of the big fish and one of the more constructive and really inspirational people. I mean, she's not just making porn, she's making a little more than just porn, and she has a strong message. And I think that was a very fresh perspective that most people or more people should consider if they ever go into this business. I mean, if they dream to get into this business. Lesson number 4, the money, because a lot of people get there for the money. Some people say that they get there because they just enjoy sex. And yeah. If you just enjoy sex, you'll just get yourself a sugar daddy or sugar mama or whatever they're called, I don't know. And you enjoy sex with that person, or you don't do it on camera. But you go there because you need more than just, you enjoy sex. 1 is the money, 2 is the fame and all the adoration and recognition that you want. Like, everybody wants to also be recognized and appreciated and seen for who they are. And this is a very fast and not so, and I underline this, not so complicated way. It's not easy here either, but it's less complicated than other businesses. So the irony here is that although since the advent of the internet and the rise of a lot of porn channels, there's a higher demand for pornography. And you can see it in a lot of how it slowly infiltrates in other areas of our lives. Less and less people pay for it. And if you ever watch Hot Girls Wanted, this is a 1 hour and 30 minutes documentary on Netflix. Then there's Hot Girls Wanted Turned On. This is a 6-episode series, also on Netflix. And then there's Life After Porn. After Porn Ends. Another documentary is also on Netflix. By the way, Netflix isn't paying me for the advertising. Then you get a different perspective. I mean, a lot of people mentioned there's less and less cash. People expect this for free. Although there's a lot of work, like you pay for the spaces, for the people, for the health aspects, tests and everything. You pay for the cameraman, for the editing, so everything. The material, the cameras, the lights, microphones, and so on. So it's a big production, and people don't realize that. I mean, they're not behind the scenes to see all the effort, so they just take it for granted and they don't pay. And a lot of the stars also point out there's less and less money, and the producers also look at this. So you get a perspective on that one as well. And number 5 is that it's a really, really consumption-based industry. And I think a lot of people just take the glam part of it, but they forget a few pragmatic aspects, and they allow themselves to be influenced by this industry without knowing the full picture. So number 1, a lot of those people are super, super careful with health and prevention. Stars get tested a lot of times. Everything is clean there. In the hookup culture, where you see the direct, like the hookup culture is the child of pornography. But the child of pornography doesn't look at the healthy and safety part. You don't see any hookup or pickup artists coaches, anybody that speaks a lot about how do you approach the health part. Like, you want to hook up with somebody, but how do you know if they're clean or not? Condoms don't really, they don't really protect you from a lot of shit. And the best way to protect yourself is to know who you're hooking up with, and also know where you are, where your body is. So that's one. And the other one, the expiration date is shorter and shorter. If in the 80s and the 90s, the porn stars that were getting into this business could retire with the money they made from that industry, that doesn't happen nowadays so much. In the documentaries, you're gonna hear a lot of girls that after they decide to get out of it, because the social costs are really big, as I said in the beginning, they're walking away with $2,000 or something like that. So you don't make a living out of that. You're gonna still have to work like crazy. And the expiration date being shorter and shorter, this is really like, you gotta think twice what you're taking away from the porn industry. And the third thing is that most people in the porn industry are also human beings. The girls doing video chat, the actors from porn movies, like, they're missing out on a lot of connections. And when they get face to face with the real world, the real emotional needs of the people that are paying them, or their emotional needs, there's a lot of stuff that is undealt with. I think the therapeutical aspect of it is so missing. And those are people that walk away, some of them with wounds, some of them with missing altogether life experiences. So yeah, check out those documentaries, or at least consider these before you ever allow yourself to be influenced by the porn industry. It sells a lot, sure, it looks cool, but there are a lot of pragmatic aspects that we don't look at. And those are the things that I was looking at. I mean, I put my mad scientist hat on, and I looked at that. I was like, I want to get behind the glitzy glam aspect of it, and just the fame. And yeah, the reality is a little different. So I'm not sure how this sits with you. I know that for me, it's a lot of pragmatic value, and I really appreciate pragmatism because we're here to live on the long run. So I do find a lot of value in these teachings. I'm not sure what you think of them, but I hope they at least open up some perspectives for you as well. I would love to know what you think of these, and if you've ever realized them before, if you had known of them, if you had watched other materials, behind the scenes from the porn industry, and if you've ever been influenced, hopefully in a good way, from these. And I'll see you tomorrow with other videos. Ciao!